Good morning, guys. Automotive Inquiries here. So got a couple requests for a video on the transmission lurch, and then I also got a question in regards to the spark plug issue, the misfire issue that is out there. Information's out there. You may not have even experienced that, whatnot. But for me, it's not. I don't think it's going to be an issue because I have a 22. But one side question I had is what the heck time do you get up in the morning? Well, just like most of you moms and dads out there, they have to squeeze every ounce of your day out. I get up on average about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I get up and hit the gym for a little bit, and then if I have questions about stuff, I'll try and shoot videos on my way to work. And then I typically work from about 6 in the morning to about 4:30. So, and then I go home and I do my dad duties. But that's nothing that most of you don't know about. So we just try and get it all in. Whatever we need to do for ourselves, we're going to do that during the time where most of the world's sleeping. All right, back to business. So the spark plug issue, the misfire issue, and what I think is causing it. So the spark plug issue, if your truck's under warranty, will be taken care of by Ford. The parts are highly available now. They had a run of 2020 Ford Super Duties and 20 and 21 7.3 Godzillas that went into motorhomes, so Class C, Class A's that had that 7.3 in there, that had issues with the spark plug wires where it connects to the coil pack, and it's really kind of a headache more than it is a problem. So if you experience this issue, it's more than likely on a 27.3 trickling into 20s that were sold in 21 or maybe early model 21s. All right, so the NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, has a bulletin out there specifically for the Class A motorhomes and Class C motorhomes that have the Godzilla in them. And again, it's one of those things where it just talks about the inconvenience of it. There was a faulty issue. Ford worked on it right away. Ford put out a bulletin on it in regards to how they want to take care of it and how quality is important to them and everything like that. Now, this issue has since been fixed, just kind of like the issue with the cams and the lifters and everything like that. All right, that stuff's going to happen when you build hundreds and thousands of things and your parts are brought in from outside sources. Now, that's enough for most people to poo-poo the Godzilla was this misfire. I'm not doing it. Ford's got tons of issues and so whatnot, but really this is a $20 to $35 part. Now, when we go into, I had one person say that they took their truck into the dealership, they replaced those wires, I believe, and then they had an issue after that. The truck was running fine before they took it into the shop. Now, I think most mechanics out there are genuinely honest, and I think that the shady ones are out there for sure, just like in every line of work. If you take your truck in or your vehicle in for something and it comes out not running well, then I suggest you go right back in there and talk with them. Don't lose your cool. Go in and talk to them. Again, I don't think for the most part there's any mechanics out there trying to purposely damage something so that way they can get more work out of you, especially if you're going to somebody that's reputable, somebody that has a good demeanor when you go talk to them. And this is why I like old school mechanics, because a lot of times they just know. They're like, oh, I know that sounds like a misfire, that sounds like a exhaust gasket, that sounds like something's going on with this. And there are newer things with the computers and the ECM modules that do take a scan tool and stuff to go through them, but I like those guys because they just go in there and they have the knowledge. They can hear things, they can see things, they've been around it and whatnot. But if you take your vehicle in and for a completely separate issue and you go to pick it up and all of a sudden it has a new issue, I think if you go in and constructively talk with those people, the service manager, the mechanics themselves, it's something that can be worked through. But this spark plug issue, I think for the most part, most people can go down and get a set of wires and put it on this and fix that issue themselves. But if it's under warranty, why not let somebody else pay for it? But it is going to be a pain in the butt if you do experience that. And I'm not saying that when people are in your engine compartment, they can't knock something loose or they unplug something to reach something else and it doesn't get plugged back in. Just go talk with them. It could be a simple deal. A lot of times they can throw a scan tool back on and be like, oh, it says it's misfiring. Why? Oh, it's misfiring. Oh, well, I forgot to plug this harness back in or whatnot. But when people are like, well, it's just this huge issue with this ignition, I don't think so. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing the data. I'm not seeing the comments coming in that everybody that has a Godzilla is having this issue. So I don't believe that is true. Now, one thing I will tell you is years ago, I was in a profession where we drove Ford Crown Victoria cars. And those had the 5.0s when I started, and then they went to the 4.6. And here's the problem, and I to this day stand by this. Can a car wash be running your car? I absolutely believe so. Okay, so in those Ford V8s, and no, I was not a taxi driver, we would take those through our shop bays and clean them, and sometimes we could even take them through outside car washes that had undercarriage sprayers. Now, I'm not saying this is the Godzilla issue, but it is a potential issue across the board. So I used to drive through those car washes, and unfortunately when I was a rook, I was like, what the heck's going on with this car? Now it ain't running right. And then we would take them into the mechanic shop and they would say, oh, your coil packs are fragged. There's something going on here, they're fragged. Well, it started kind of being like all of our cars. And because guys would take them to the outside car washes with undercarriage sprayers versus taking them to our city shops where we had a car wash that was just a wand. And so this one we'd take them back to Ford, they would replace the packs and everything like this. Well, I went to a call for service where it was at a place where it was a mechanic shop for taxis. Well, you all know that most taxis are old cars from the profession I used to work for a very long time. And I ran into an old school mechanic, and I was talking to him, and he was saying that he fixes cars, had been fixing cars for a long time, specifically these Crown Vics and Fords. And I was saying, well, yeah, we said, we have these Crown Vics and this is what happens. And he said, well, what the problem is? He goes, are you going through a car wash that has an undercarriage sprayer? Absolutely. Why? And he goes, well, what people don't know is that there's enough high pressure water going up into the engine compartment that is going in and getting just enough in there to actually fry the coil packs. So from that day on, I stopped going into car washes. Well, fast forward a few years, I bought a C3 GMC Sierra from my father-in-law, and he took meticulous care of it. This thing was a beautiful truck, but the front end was rotting out. I mean, it was grinding. Took it in the shop and I said, well, we can't figure out, but there's water inside this axle. And I'm like, that's weird. How would that get in there? Are the seals bad? No. Are the vents bad? No. And they're like, we don't know how water got in there. Well, I'm a firm believer, because that truck was washed often, and I don't know if that's necessarily the undersprayer that happened with that one, but again, water got into a sealed axle, and water is a destroyer. Water is actually one of the most powerful elements in the world. I mean, look what it does. It carves valleys. It helps carve canyons. It literally can do anything, and then you put high pressure behind it, and it then turns into a higher pressure power. And so again, I think it can run stuff. So from that point on, if I go into a mechanical car wash where it does this stuff for you and you're not using a wand, and I want to get the upgraded one, of course the upgraded car wash comes with the undercarriage sprayer, I zip past that. I do not use that feature. I don't want water spraying at any high PSI up into my engine compartment, which it can do. When you drive over that, especially if you drive over nice and slow, it's blowing up in there. Well, almost everything is made to spray down on your engine and your undercarriage and stuff like that. It can handle water, but it's not meant to handle high pressure water. So my recommendation is stay away from that feature at a car wash. If you're going through just cruise past, or if you really want to spray for undercarriage, go home, get the hose out, spray it down, wait till the mud and stuff kind of soaks up the water and breaks up, and then you can spray it off again. Yeah, that was just good mechanic knowledge that old gentleman shared with me, and I never had another problem with my Crown Vic. So I'm not saying other guys didn't, but I told people, and I tell people all the time, I said, stop doing that, stop taking your car through that. And since I've done that throughout my personal vehicles, I've never had an engine issue. I've never had anything like that. One step further, you buy a new Chevy, and Chevy actually has a plastic cover under the hood that says big old pressure washer sprayer cross-out sign. Do not spray that underneath here. And the reason why is because there's so much electrical underneath there, and that water, when it's pressurized, can get so many places. Then you go fire it up, it turns to steam, and then it seeps even further. So, you know, they say you can lightly spray it off with a garden hose and stuff like that. And really, if your engine's that dirty, I would suggest that you just take the time. If you want to clean it up, just get some compressed air and blow it off, and then a bucket and some Dawn dish soap, and just kind of wipe it down with a rag. Then if you really want to rinse it off, just use light water. Now, again, I'm not going to say that that's the issue with these Ford spark plugs, because there's a faulty wire. But if you were to get water up in your engine compartment, and water and electricity don't mix, that is a possibility that you could be expediting the issue with it throwing a code. So I don't wash my motors off anymore. I don't clean them. When I just keep them clean in general. I wipe them off when they're dirty, but I don't spray any type of high pressure water underneath there. So again, for the spark plug issue, if you want to go into Nahitsa and see that fix, it is out there. And again, like I said, if you don't have that issue and you go into a shop and all of a sudden you have a different issue when you leave there, just stop and be constructive and go back and talk to those guys. I would say 99% of the time you're not going to have an issue, but if you do have an issue, just go back and constructively talk to them. It's usually when they don't want to, when they get, like, I don't know, verbally assaulted by an angry customer, and rightfully so, you can be angry, but it's, what did my mom say growing up? You can catch more flies with honey than you can with, so, you know, it's like, be nice to people, be courteous, and I bet the issue can get rectified. But if it's enough for you to make you want to go trade off your truck, then go trade off your truck and try a different brand or whatever and see what happens. But yeah, I would definitely not worry about that spark plug issue. And like I said, and if it's under, your motor's under 60,000 mile warranty, just go in and have them replace it, and it should be just fine. See you on the next one, guys. Have a safe day.